Welcome to the Watercolor Loft with award-winning artist and instructor, John Fitzgibbon. John has worked in this medium most of his life and definitely considers it a favorite. He has traveled the globe and captured many of his memories with a paintbrush. John will take the intimidation factor out of painting with watercolors and will show you how, by starting with the basics, you too can enjoy this very fun medium. Let's go hang out in the loft. Here is a short list of supplies you will need to get started. Praying brand paints with 8 classic colors. Number 2, 6, 10, and 14 soft bristle round brushes. 22 by 30 Arches 140-pound cold press paper. An 11 by 14 1/8 inch masonite painting board. And a few miscellaneous items, masking tape, paper towels, and 2 water containers.
When practicing trees, I recommend using inexpensive copy paper. That's what I'm using for these trees, and it works great. Also, I'm just using a dark color. You can use black, brown, or blue. Just be sure it's a dark color. I'm using black for my trees. Right now, we're not concerned with the correct color for the trees, just the correct technique for painting them. For the evergreen tree, I will start at the top and work my way down. Notice that I am using the side and not the point of my brush. Always use the side of your brush whenever possible. This will prevent you from piddling with small, unimportant areas in the painting. Try to move down in a random pattern, as you can see here. And remember, it takes practice to get the hang of it. The more you paint, the easier it gets. The next tree will be the snow-covered evergreen. This may sound strange, but for this tree, I'm going to paint the snow first. But when you think about it, it makes sense, because if I painted the dark tree first, then I couldn't cover it with snow. Because with watercolors, when an area is painted dark, it stays dark and can't be lightened. As you can see, when I paint the snow, I'm using a mid-tone gray as if the tree is in the shadows. Also, again, I'm using as much of the side of my brush as I can. This allows me to paint the large areas of snow laying on the tree. It also keeps me from piddling with it. Be sure the snow is dry before painting the dark tree under it. This will keep the edges sharp and crisp against the snow. Use the number 6 round for the tree, and now you will want to use mostly the point of your brush to paint individual thistles, as you see me doing here. Remember to practice a number of these to get proficient at it. You can do it. The next is the maple tree. For this tree, I will quickly paint a ground area to set the tree on. Next, I will use my number 6 round to paint the trunk and limbs radiating out from it. Notice that the limbs become smaller the further away they get from the trunk. If they didn't, then the tree would collapse under its own weight. Next, I will paint the leaf masses with the number 6 brush. You notice I said leaf masses, and I did it for a reason. I am not concerned about individual leaves in this painting. I am focused on the masses or clumps of leaves throughout the tree. Also watch as I paint these. I paint them as though they are hanging down, sort of like an umbrella over the limbs. So keep this in mind when painting the leaves. Gravity is always tugging at them so they hang down. And remember, practice, practice, practice. The next is the popcorn tree. I call this the popcorn tree because it resembles a kernel of popcorn before the trunk and limbs are put in. Here again, as I paint the masses of leaves, keep in mind that they hang down, and also notice how I use the side of my number 6 brush. Once the leaves dry, then carefully paint the limbs, being careful not to paint over the leaves as they are covering many of the limbs. And finally, the palm tree. This tree looks like the easiest to paint and is probably the most difficult. Using the number 6 brush, indicate some land and grass to set the tree on. Next, paint a curved line as you see me do. Notice how I hold the brush at the end and pull it. It simply follows my hand. This will take some practice. Imagine that. Next, I'll paint the palm leaves, or palm fronds as they are called. Here again, you see how I lightly hold the brush and simply allow it to follow my hand. You need to watch carefully as I paint the individual leaves. It takes some practice to catch on to this. I hold the brush straight up, and as I make the curved line, I also rotate it in my fingers. This is what makes each one come to a point. You really need to practice this one, but I have faith that you can do it.
Thanks for joining us today, friends. Hopefully you gleaned something from it. Be sure to check back here each Monday as John challenges you just a little more every week. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you enjoyed this video, we would sincerely appreciate you taking a short moment to like and share it. Until next time, keep creating.